Hey YouTube, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can find me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Hold on just a second. We have got some nastiness on the lens. There, that looks better. Okay, where was I? Oh, that's right. Do your nail nicks suck? Mine did. That sounds like a late night infomercial, huh? Okay. So, and I'm talking about the nail nicks on pocket knives. Like, there's, well, this might not zoom in close enough, but, you know, I've struggled with, this is probably the toughest part of making slip joints and some lockbacks and stuff, is getting a nail nick that looks like a nail nick instead of, well, there's that one, and it probably doesn't look too bad, except for there's a whole bunch of heat treat scale in it. Here was one of my first ones. Yeah, trying to freehand that stuff. Yeah, so they look all nasty, and you know, that was probably with a Dremel tool. The best I got so far was with the here's one of the little toggle locks, and I sure hope you're going to be able to pick up that nail nick in there. That was cut with a 60-degree dovetail cutter on my lathe with the milling attachment, and that was kind of sort of working okay. The problem was I think I've got a burr on one of the teeth of my you know, the teeth that go around the outside of the cutter. I think I've got a burr on one of those, and it was, I did like a batch of like 6 slip joints. Got the blades all set up and everything, cut the nail nicks, thought I was doing great, heat treated them, and all but 2 of them cracked, and the cracks went right to you know, a deep scratch inside those nail nicks, and I really didn't care for that at all. I mean, you know, I already had a little bit of time invested into, you know, making those blades and spring combos and the scales and everything, and then had to go back and remake new blades for all of them. But you know what I was after is, you know, nice, well, I'll save this one for the last one. You know, nice looking, you know, crescent shaped nail nicks, you know, nice and crisp and clean, with this part right up underneath here cut at 90 degrees to, you know, the top, a nice swoop on the bottom. Now this one right here is humongous. Man, you're gonna have some big old honking thick thumbnails to fit into that. But even the ones like on, well, this one right here with the old on an old timer, that's a pretty big old honking nail nick also. But it looks good. I mean, besides the fact that it looks oversized and kind of out of the place on the blade, you know, the mechanics of it, the shape, the ends of the cuts. Here's one on my my case trapper. You know, that's starting to get really nice. You know, good looking nail nicks. Probably my favorite nail nick that I've seen is on this old, it's a charade. It might be, no, it's just a charade cut company. And I sure hope you guys get to see this one, because this is a gorgeous nail nick. It's nice and long for its width. You know, the ends are, you know, nice and pointed. Everything looks clean. I mean, yeah, the knife has seen better days. It was probably left in the bottom of a toolbox. I think, I don't remember where I got this one at, but it's a cool little knife, and I love that nail nick right there. So anyway, so like I said, I tried the 60-degree dovetail cutter. That was from Chris Crawford in his video building slip joints. I tried the Dremel tool, both with the cutoff wheels and trying to shape a stone, and honestly, none of it really worked very well for me, and it all kind of looked like crap. So I'm sitting there and I'm trying to think, you know, about how on earth I'm going to put these nail nicks in. I'd really rather put them in after heat treats so that I didn't have to worry about stress risers inside those nail nicks cracking blades. You know, but then you're grinding hardened steel. And the Dremel wheel kind of sort of worked okay, except for I could never quite shape the edge of the wheel. So I was always getting straight, and of course I don't have one here to show you. They were kind of straight looking nail nicks. So instead of having the oh, well, we'll do this one because it's probably easier to see. So instead of having the crescent shape there, it was just like, you know, a groove, you know, with rounded off ends. And, you know, I kind of figured, well, if nothing else, you know, that would probably be the way I was going to go. And then all of a sudden one day I'm sitting there and I thought, you know, the problem with the Dremel wheel is that, first of all, it's too small in diameter, so you're going to cut deep instead of wide. And second of all, you know, I can't shape it. And then I was talking with a buddy of mine, and he says, well, why don't you just use like a grinding wheel dresser? You know, one of the little rotary ones that that you put on like a hard wheel grinder, you know, to clean off the face of the wheel. And then I got to thinking about it, and I thought, you know, I don't have one of those, or I probably do, but I don't know where it's at. And then I thought, you know, I had a hard wheel grinder a while back that all it was, you know, a T-shaped tool, and it had a whole bunch of diamonds on the end of it. And I thought, hey, wait a minute, you know, I've got a whole bunch of these old Smith's coarse fine combination pocket hones running around that aren't really you know, coarse enough for my taste for the edges anymore. Well, heck, that ought to shape a wheel. And then I thought, okay, well, if that shapes the, you know, the cutting edge of the wheel, now I just need to get a larger wheel. So then I got thinking about, you know, machines and everything, and all of a sudden, bam, I hit it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to use an angle grinder wheel. Those things are just about the perfect size. Now, these are 4 inches. And so I ran down to the pawn shop, picked up a $7 angle grinder, stripped it down, took the arbor out of it. It was a 4.5 inch angle grinder, and the old discs, mine are still 4 inches. But it worked just fine. So what we ended up with, let me take this out of the drill press right quick. Oh, come on. Alright, now we're going to have to reset the whole table. So what I came up with was the arbor out of that angle grinder. You know, strip the arbor out of it, and then press the bearings back off. This one right here, it didn't have a really nice, no, I'm not going to take that off. It didn't have a nice, you know, the end piece that holds the wheel to the arbor like my 4 inchers do. And I really didn't want to strip down one of my 4 inch angle grinders because they still got plenty of life left. But it came with a wire wheel on it. So what I did was I just took that wire wheel over to the belt grinder with an old 36 grit belt, and then ground off all the wire that was sticking out. So pretty much this whole thing right here acts to stiffen up the cutoff wheel. And that's all this is. This is a 4 inch cutoff wheel, metal cutoff wheel by Avanti Pro. And you can get these in different sizes, okay? So this is a kind of a thick cutoff wheel, 1/16 of an inch. This one right here, of course you can't really tell what it was, but I think it's, let's see, 1/16 of an inch is about 63 thousandths. I want to say this is about 40 thousandths. You can also get, if you want to make one of those big old honking nail nicks, you know, for people with ginormous thumbnails, you can also get just a regular metal cutoff wheel. And this one is, there it is, 1/8 of an inch thick. Okay, so you mount the arbor up in the drill press. Now this one's got kind of a step. The shaft on it is stepped, so you've got 3 different sizes there, which, you know, I mean, I've just been using this middle one right here because it's kind of the widest. So we're just gonna chuck this up in the drill press. Got it chucked up in there. Now we need a way to hold the blade and hold it securely. Well, first of all, so what you do is you go ahead and mount this up, and then you decide what you want your nail nick to look like. Okay, so if you want that, you know, kind of just a groove, then don't do anything to your wheel. If you want that groove to have sharp corners on the end, use a brand new wheel or dress the face of, or the cutting edge of the wheel, you know, at 90 degrees. Can you see 90 degrees? Okay. If you want kind of a straight nail nick that's kind of got rounded corners, then either use an old wheel or grab a new wheel and then just cut into some scrap iron with it or something, you know, to kind of knock those corners off. Or you can knock the top and the bottom corner off and kind of make, that way you'll get like rounded edges, you know, on the end of your nail nick. So I want that nice semicircular type shape. So what I did was I held the diamond wheel about like this, and then just turned it on, presented it to it, and then just shaped this to where it looks oh, there you go. Oh yeah, I don't have to get out the other lens. You can see that, or at least I can see that. See how it's got an angled cut there? Okay, so that's going to give us that nice, you know, where it's longer on top and it's got a swoop on the bottom of it. That's what's going to give us that. Okay, now we need a good way to hold the blade solid and safe and still be able to control it. Okay, if you have a milling machine, you could go ahead and set everything up on your milling machine so that you just rotate the table in and out and everything. I've got the milling attachment on my lathe, and it kind of sort of works okay, but honestly I found an easier way to do that, and that's to mount the blade to a piece of scrap steel. Now, I did see one video on YouTube where there was a gal that was cutting a nail nick in with a Dremel wheel like that, and she had taken her blade and like super glued it to a little bitty piece of steel like this that was straight on the bottom, and super glued it at the right angle that she wanted the cut to be. And then she held this little piece of steel flat on the table and then moved it in. Well, you know, I think she's probably got a hell of a lot steadier hands than I do. So what I did was I grabbed a chunk of steel. This is C-channel. Okay, 1/4 inch thick wall or so. I don't know, 18 inches long, probably 1.5 inches from top to bottom. Now I didn't you know, surface grind the legs or anything like that. I don't really think you need to. And then what I did was I drilled a couple of 3/32 pinholes in here. So this one right here is going to take your pivot pin, or you know, just a pin of the right size. And then I drilled a couple of holes here that will allow you to lift the blade up. So if you wanted that blade to sit a little bit higher, you would put the pin in a different hole, you know, or sit lower, you know, and you can just drill however many holes you need. You know, maybe make them in an angle line like this, or just kind of drill them whenever you want to, right? Okay, so now we've got that, and I've got a line marked there where I want to cut my nail nick. All right, so and you can tell this blade right here is just at a 60 grit finish. I mean, it's just roughed in, you know, to allow me to check, and kind of tuned up so that, you know, I know the tip lays straight in the case and all that kind of stuff. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take a piece of Scotch tape, because it's clear, right? It's clear, and you can see through it to see where your mark is at. And then I'll probably end up, you know, cleaning up the surface of this plate on a grinder, just to get to where the tape sticks a little bit easier. Okay, so we get this all taped up, and what that tape is going to do is it's going to give us a little bit of a cushion. Okay, so as that abrasive wheel goes through the tape, it'll keep from making extra scratches. So if you wanted to do this at a 400 grit finish instead of a you know, a rough 60, you know, you could do that. All right, so now I probably should have thought in advance on how I was going to set you up. Let's see, you might be able to see from there. You might be able to see, but I can't tell. So let's get this up here, and then we will need like a little box or something to get you up on. Okay, and that's going to be pretty good, I think. And then I just keep all these wheels inside a can with the arbor and then the sharpening stone, just so it's all kind of in one kit. So that when I want to cut nail nicks, I just grab that whole thing off the shelf. All right. Okay. Kind of looks all cluttered in there, but that's the arbor with the wheel on it and everything. So what I'm going to do now is, maybe this light will help some. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set the table to where it's at the right height. If you had a longer shaft on the arbor, then you could get the table kind of set right, and then, you know, drop the arbor up and down some. Okay. Now I got to see through the tape. I had all this set up, but then I took it apart so that you could see the arbor. Okay. So now I hope you're going to be able to see that the wheel is just going to cut that magic marker line in half. Okay? So now the really nice thing about using this big old chunk of steel here is that I can get that big old chunk of steel, and it's going to help hold everything real nice and steady for me. Okay? You know, and give me much more control over the whole thing. Now this is a time where, boy, wear your safety glasses. Okay? These wheels have got, I think they say them on there somewhere, where okay, so 1500 or 15,250 max RPM. But you know, when these things come apart on an angle grinder, they usually wreck somebody's day. I mean, you know, they might have been having an okay day, And when these wheels come apart, you know, heck, they're little missiles, really. But we're not going to spin this near as fast as what we do on an angle grinder, okay? And we're doing very light, nice, controlled cuts. So safety glasses, heck, face shield would probably be not such a bad idea. I don't think I have a face shield in here. We'll just go with safety glasses. Run your drill press just as fast as that thing will go and make very, very light cuts. Speaking of which, you can also, you know, like I said, this is a 4-inch wheel. You can also vary your nail nick size by using old ones, you know, that are only about that big around and you're about ready to throw them away anyway. Or get a brand new 4-inch one to get the largest diameter. Or you should be able to do the same setup with a 4.5-inch or maybe even a 7-inch, you know, arbor and disc. So anyway, so I'm going to turn you on here, or turn the drill press, and make sure that you're kind of centered up in there. I'm going to turn the drill press on, and we're going to go ahead and cut this nail nick. So we're going to pull it back some. Okay, so here's what we've got so far, and you can tell that it's a pretty good looking nick, but this has got a nice sharp corner and this part doesn't. Although it's really not bad. I mean, up until I started doing this way, that would have been one of my nicer nail nicks. So what I'm going to do is going to dress the wheel right quick. I can tell that the top edge has kind of been knocked off a little bit, and I'm a little bit too steep like this. So I'm going to dress it at a little bit more of an angle. Now this time, or this sort of deal, if you're not shooting a YouTube video, not only do you need your safety glasses and or a face shield, but also a dust mask, because this is kind of dusty, and of course you're right up in it, you know, trying to see what you're doing. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So now we can go back in and just clean this nail nick up a little bit. Okay, I think that's going to look pretty good. This is the first time I've used this particular wheel, and it has a little bit more wobble than the other wheel that I used. we should be done with that. Get that out of the way. There we are. Okay, so we'll take this. Take the tape off. Take our pin out. You know, it's not a bad looking nail nick. It's not quite as nice as the one that I cut the other day. I think this blade right here, I'm not too sure if it's going to make it. I might have to make another blade for this knife, but this right here is the nick that I cut off the other one. And even though it's a little bit shallow, it's still a nice looking nail nick. So, and honestly, this is like the third time that I've cut a nail nick with this. I was just so excited about it because you know, it's an easy way to cut these dang nail nicks. You know, you do it after heat treat, so there's no risk of stress risers, you know, prior to heat treating the blade. You know, that might not be such a bad looking one. You know, I think I could probably live with that. So you guys are, you know, if you guys are trying to make decent looking nail nicks, give this one a shot. You know, you might come up with even a better way, and then if you do, let me know about it. Like I said, I mean, the whole thing cost what, 50 cents worth of scrap iron from the salvage yard and a $7 angle grinder. You can do the real thin nail nicks, you know, with a thinner cutoff wheel, kind of a medium one like this, all the way up to the ginormous nail nicks for those guys that have got, you know, giant thumbnails. Yeah, I think that's about it. Nice and controllable. I may end up doing this with my larger drill press just because I'll have more, you know, a bigger table to be able to play around with it. But I think that's about it. So anyway, if you're looking for a way to make nail nicks that don't suck, try this out. If it works for you, let me know. Oh, that's what happened. This turned up a little bit of a burr on the top edge. I didn't know abrasive wheels could turn up a burr like that. I think for the other one, I'll go back to the other wheel and cut it a little bit nicer looking one. Anyway, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can find me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. I hope you give it a try. If you do and it works great for you, you know, let me know. If it doesn't work great for you, let me know, because I'm still learning this. But I know it's got really good potential, and it's cheap and, you know, controllable. You cut it after heat treat. The only other thing that I was thinking about with this would be like a chainsaw sharpener. You know, one of the electric ones, you know, that look like a mini cutoff wheel. You know, something like that. Or maybe hook up an angle grinder and make it like a little chop saw. I've never seen a mini chop saw like that, but boy, if I ever do, I might pick one up, because then, you know, you can just set your blade in a fixture, go shape your wheel, shape it again, touch it up, go down for the last pass, and call it good. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.